What's going on, everyone? It's Hax. Today I'm gonna be doing a very special tier list, which will be a little different from my previous tier list videos. It'll be different from every previous tier list video for that matter, because this tier list video will actually operate under the assumption that the entire 1.03 controls menu is legal. For those who've been following my 1.03 Melee content that I've been putting out lately, 1.03 contains a controls menu with 6 options on it. Currently, only one of those options is recommended for all tournaments to use. That would be Z-Jump. Z-Jump is a button remap on the GameCube controller that I consider to be very advantageous because it lets you do things like claw your aerials better and perform them more frame perfectly. However, the rest of the options that are on this controls menu currently aren't being advised for tournament legality. However, I happen to be of the opinion that all of the options on this controls menu are healthy for the game, and I'd personally love to see the game head in a direction where they all become legal. I've made a video talking about the perfect Wavedash mod on 1.03 and why I believe that if you're going to play with Wavedash notches anyway, then you may as well legalize this mod, as it provides a much cleaner solution and solves tons of logistical issues along the way as well. I've linked that video in the description if you want to check it out. But then as for the other options that are below Z-Jump and Perfect Wavedash, these being the 3 C-Stick customization options as well as the ability to toggle tap jump, the philosophy behind these is that all of the Smash games that came out after Melee give you these options. And we've only seen good things come out of those customization options in the newer Smash titles. These options aren't broken, they don't cause problems. They, from what we've seen, offer customization in a healthy way. And I think even though this may seem pretty out of the blue for Melee to suddenly gain the option to customize the C-Stick and toggle tap jump, I personally think that these options would have the exact same effect on Melee. I think it'd be really exciting. I think if you were to patch Melee, this would be how you would do it. Because essentially the only reason these options weren't included is because the game is very old. They're not broken, they're not unhealthy. The game was just old, so it didn't have these options like the newer Smash titles do. So I'd love to see all of this become legal. Regardless of how you feel about that, I'm going to be doing the tier list under the assumption that all of these options are legal. I think that's going to be really interesting because I do think that these options shake up the tier list quite a bit. One last thing that I think is interesting that I should mention is that the C-Stick customization on 1.03 is actually better than what the new Smash titles offer, because on the newer Smash titles, you either take the entire C-Stick as Smash Stick or as Tilt Stick. You're not able to customize the individual options. Altimor and I realized that it'd be even better if you could customize the individual options, and surely enough, I think a lot of the characters you'll see on this tier list would want to take maybe 2 tilts and 1 smash. So that's even more interesting because you're really able to build the perfect version of these characters. Anyway, with that being said, let's get right into the tier list. So normally on my Melee tier lists that I've been doing for the past several years, I always rank 11 characters. I'll put those 11 into this tier on the bottom so that we can get to work. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the 11. Now here's what's interesting. I think the first shakeup that comes from 1.03's controls menu being legal is the addition of a 12th viable character. I think that Perfect Wavedash is enough to make Luigi a viable character. Luigi is generally regarded as the 12th best character in the game, and right now a lot of pros agree that he's not quite good enough. I think that 1.03's Perfect Wavedash makes him good enough, because Luigi, with access to the Perfect Wavedash coordinates every single time, is a force to be reckoned with. He, his movement becomes extremely explosive, and as I explained in my Perfect Wavedash video, the perfect Wavedash on 1.03 is better than notches. It's meant to be a notch replacement, but as always, these software replacements for hardware do end up being better. So I think Luigi benefits heavily from that, as will all of the other Wavedash heavy characters. So I'm going to put Luigi here in the 3rd tier. I'm only going to be doing 3 tiers. That's something I forgot to mention. I'm going to try to keep the number of tiers to 3. I just think it's cleaner. So, I actually just add that row for some space. Okay, cool. So yeah, I think Luigi moves into viability, and I think he's number 12. The reason I think he can't go higher than 12 is because I think the next character that's right above him, Samus, gets a lot better on 1.03 for the same reasons. I think the Perfect Wavedash mod is extremely beneficial to Samus. Another thing that helps her a lot is actually the tap jump toggle. I haven't given too much given too much thought to the tap jump toggle, but Samus is definitely a character who would toggle tap jump off, and that's because up B out of shield with tap jump off is really nice. You're able to point the shield upward on 1.03 without tap jumping, and from there you can also give her Z jump, and then you can do the up B out of shield with Z and B. So it's like a claw grip up B out of shield, and you'll never tap jump accidentally. So it's a really nice quality of life for up B out of shield characters. There aren't too many viable up B out of shield characters, though. It's really just Samus. So she's like the main beneficiary of that. So I think she's 11. I don't think Luigi can go above her. I think she gets a nice boost on 1.03, as most characters do. Next, we have Pikachu. The problem with Pikachu is Pikachu is very anti-meta. Pikachu is good into characters like Fox, Falco, and Marth relative to Pikachu's tier list placement, because Pikachu's getting a relatively low tier list placement. The reason Pikachu's tier list placement ends up here in the 3rd tier is because I think winning with Pikachu is borderline impossible because of some of these roadblock matchups. Some of the roadblock matchups are like Peach, Ice Climbers, and Puff. Pikachu's kit is really not designed to fight these characters. He has no combo strings against floaties like Peach and Puff. He kind of just loses the war of attrition to them. And then he can't separate Nana at all. So he's like not designed to fight those 3 characters, and it really stunts his ability to win a tournament. That being said, he's very anti-meta. He's good into Spaceys and Marth, also good into Captain Falcon. When I say good, I mean like he can hang on. He doesn't win any of these matchups, but he can definitely hang on, and maybe some of them are even 50-50. Like maybe Falcon and Marth are in the vicinity of 5-5. So that's really good for a character that's in the 3rd tier. But yeah, I can't put Pikachu higher yet because I do think he struggles versus some of these floaties. Now, I'm actually going to skip the A tier for a bit. I'm going to do some S tier because that's where I think S tier becomes really straightforward to rank on 1.03 with the whole controls panel legal. I think on vanilla, the order of the S tier is actually a lot more debatable than it is on 1.03. I think 1.03 really straightens out exactly how some of these characters should be ranked. So I put Fox in the number 1 spot, just as I would on vanilla. I don't think this changes. I think Fox is actually one of the biggest beneficiaries of the 1.03 controls panel because he's a very Wavedash heavy character. Being able to get the perfect 16.8 degree Wavedash after a shine is huge. And he also takes 2 tilts for sure. He takes up tilt and down tilt. You might be wondering, why would Fox take up tilt instead of up smash? It really has to do with the fact that the C-stick tilts in general are better than their smash attack counterparts if the tilt is good at all. And that's because you bypass the precision that you would normally need, because when you do a tilt with the C-stick, you can just jam the stick against the end of the against the end of the plastic rim. You don't have to do a precise input at all. And so if you do C-stick up tilt Fox, you can still up smash on the control stick by pressing the stick fully against the rim. So then you have an analog stick or a control stick that can up smash by pressing the stick fully against the rim, and a C-stick that can up tilt by pressing the stick fully against the rim. So it makes for the best distribution, I think. So Fox gets a lot out of this mod, stays in the number 1 spot, I think, for sure. But now here's where I think I have a lot less hard of a time ranking things on 1.03 as compared to Vanilla Melee. I think number 2 on 1.03 is easily Falco. There's a lot of debate on Vanilla between whether Falco or Marth is the second best character. I go back and forth on it all the time. Recently, I've been leaning toward Falco anyway, but on 1.03, to me, it's Falco without a doubt, for almost the same reasons as Fox. Falco wants to take up tilt, down tilt. Those are more straightforward with Falco because his up smash isn't very good. But then the perfect wave dash on Falco is more significant than perfect wave dash on Fox. That's because Falco struggles with SDI, ASDI way more than Fox does. Whenever someone does SDI or ASDI away from Falco's shine, he specifically needs either a perfect or a near perfect wave dash in order to convert. You'll see Mango do this all the time. I mean, all the top Falco players have notches, so you'll see them do awfully long wave dashes out of shine. Those wave dashes are necessary. And 1.03 not only makes them easy, but it also gives you the best coordinates, whereas the notch may not quite be perfect, but 1.03 wave dash is perfect. So it's of huge help to Falco. I give him second easily on this mod. I think Z-Jump, that's something I forgot to mention. Z-Jump is really good for both spaces because it gives the GameCube controller like basically better than a claw grip. Z-Jump is better than claw. And they need that because they're very technical characters. Fox gets more out of Z-Jump than Falco because he's lower jump squat. So having to jump with the same button that you're doing the aerials with sucks for Fox. But something that's really nice about Z-Jump for Falco is short hop laser. For those who haven't tried, short hop laser with Z then B is really, really nice quality of life. You can get frame perfect short hop lasers very easily, and it just feels really good. So I think the ways in which 1.03 makes the GameCube controller a lot better helps these more technical characters out a lot. And so I think Fox then Falco is the definitive top 2 on this mod. Number 3, this is actually the toughest decision of the entire list of characters that I'm going to put in S. I'm still going to give it to Marth, but what I want to make clear is that Sheik is potentially the most buffed character on 1.03. Sheik is extremely close to being above Marth on this mod. And I'll explain why I say that. So, Marth does not get much out of 1.03 compared to the other characters. He's not a very technical character. He generally prefers a world in which these controllers are not buffed, because the other characters are getting more out of things like perfect wave dash, Z-jump, etc. And Sheik, on the other hand, easily takes 2 tilts, easily takes forward tilt, up tilt. She's very reliant on those 2 tilts in the neutral game. She benefits a ton from Z-jump because she's 3-frame jump squat just like Fox. So being able to do frame perfect aerials with her is something that you normally can't really even come close to doing, but on 1.03 you can do that easily. And then something I forgot to mention is that 1.03's controller fix most notably buffs dash out of crouch. Dash out of crouch is primarily of benefit to Sheik and Captain Falcon, who I'm gonna rank 5th. So dash out of crouch is benefiting these 2 characters the most by far out of all of the characters that I'm ranking. And Marth, on the other hand, just doesn't gain much. I think he still retains his number 3 spot just because He's probably still the best non-spacey in the game versus spaceys, but the gap is so close on 1.03 where these other characters are able to tap into these options that they couldn't before. Sheik in particular is unbelievably close to going above Marth. Honestly, Sheik might be so buffed on this mod that I think she could go to as high as number 2. Not even joking, because 3-frame jump squat is such a broken trait, and so Sheik has needed Z-jump for the longest time. She then gets the dash out of crouch, and she takes 2 tilts. So Sheik is, in my opinion, one of the characters that's held back by the vanilla GameCube controller the most. The only character I could never put her above is Fox, just because I don't see anyone going above Fox in theory, but I just want to emphasize that Sheik is a complete sleeper on this mod. It'd be really interesting to see what players like Plup could do with Sheik if given these options. So I'm still going to put the S tier this way. I think this is like the safe ranking. The main thing that could change is Sheik could go up, but for now, that's how I'll have it. Keep in mind, this is all theory. There's no tournaments or anything to base this on. Anyway. A tier. A tier is where all the other characters are going to go. Now, here's the main thing I have to say about A tier. Jigglypuff is the most nerfed character on this mod by far. She gains almost nothing from the controls panel. It's the same deal as how she gains almost nothing from UCF. Jigglypuff, in an ideal world, would give her opponent the worst possible controller. Like, her and her opponent would play on just controllers with, crap dash back, crap shield drop, crap everything, because the better the controllers get, the less she gets relative to every other character. On top of that, I think Jigglypuff's already the most overrated character on regular non-1.03 Melee. I think she doesn't age well at all. I think she has bad Fox and Marth matchups, and very little potential relative to the other characters. So I'll show you exactly how I'm going to rank A tier. It's actually exactly how these characters ended up being listed here by pure coincidence. I have Peach in number 6, Yoshi in number 7, Ice Climbers in number 8, and Jigglypuff in number 9. I'll go through each of these one at a time. So Peach in the number 6 spot. Peach in general, I think this character is very sleeper. I think she's one step away from a renaissance. It's just a matter of someone really good picking her up and pushing her. Because Peach kind of has two sides. There's kind of two sides to Peach. There's like the cheesy side, and then there's the side where she gets really optimized, and she's got techniques that people still aren't tapping into. Things like sub-floating. That's like a subject I want to make a video on in itself. Basically, you can float with Peach at a height that also lets you ASDI down and hug the floor if you get hit from that height. That's a technique that no Peach player uses as far as I know. So that's something that's of major use. And just in general, I think the more this character trends toward being optimized, the better she gets, because she's highly favored versus every character below her on the list, except for Puff. Like, she destroys the other 5. And so I think with some of those techniques that I mentioned, she could become a really strong character again. And I think Z-Jump is something that really helps her more than almost anybody else. I showed this in my Z-Jump video, how she totally needs a claw grip. That's why people say Peach is way better on the box. Well, same deal on 1.03 if you give Peach Z-Jump. So I give her 6th. I believe in Peach. I think the people who play her just need to look into her potential a bit more, because I don't think like the cheesier Peach style is going to cut it. I think if you're going to play Peach like that, then she's probably not even viable at this point. So hoping to see this character make a comeback, because I think she's got a lot of potential. Next character who's got a ton of potential is Yoshi. Yoshi, whenever I fight Amsa, feels like a very underrated character who, quite frankly, only one player in the world is able to play at a top level. Now, Yoshi gets a lot better on 1.03 because of Z-Jump. I'm sort of evaluating 1.03 as though players have not been clawing, but now Z-Jump gives them claw, because the truth is, most people do not claw. And furthermore, Z-Jump is a lot better than claw. Claw kind of sucks. Claw is uncomfortable. But these DJC characters like Peach and Yoshi, get so much out of it. And so I think Yoshi, the thing about him is he doesn't really get invalidated by anyone. Many people would say that his worst matchup is Fox, but it's totally playable. I think he may even be better than Peach in that regard, in that he doesn't get invalidated. Like, Peach, some would argue, gets invalidated by Puff. I don't think Yoshi has anything as bad as, let's say, Peach Puff. So I think he's well-rounded, but having a bad Fox matchup does suck. Because Fox is the best character in the game, beyond almost any reasonable doubt, and so that's what's holding him back. But I think with Z-Jump, I would love to see what Amsa could do. I have no doubt that if he had the opportunity to test it out, he would switch. So I give Yoshi 7th. I believe in him more than I believe in these next two characters, but now number 8 I give to Ice Climbers. I give Ice Climbers number 8 because just like Luigi, the perfect Wavedash mod on this character is so obnoxious. Luigi and Ices are the two characters who move around almost exclusively by wave dashing. Samus is third, because she wants to walk a lot so that she can do tilts. But Luigi and Ice Climbers genuinely want to wave dash exclusively. And so the 1.03 perfect wave dash mod is magical for the two of them. And I think, again, just like Peach and Yoshi, Ice Climbers have a ton of potential that the people who historically played them just haven't really tapped into. They're actually they're very similar to Peach in that regard, in that they have this cheesy side where you abuse strats like wobbling, and as a result, you don't tap into their optimal side at all. And I think that's been going on for far too long, but now you've got players like Slug, who I think are really skilled at the character. Also just like really skilled at melee in general. Like, I think Slug genuinely is playing like a neutral game with Ice Climbers better than any previous Ice Climbers that I've played in like previous years. Because like I said, I think just about every Ices main has been abusing wobbling to way too much of an extent. So I think the character's been getting held back. And so I think that combined with the perfect wave dash is like enough to give them number 8. And then finally we have Puff. I think Puff's pretty bad, if I'm being completely honest. I think the character just doesn't... I don't think she can ever get better. She doesn't age well because she was good like 2 to 3 years ago in an era where, quite frankly, people were a lot worse at the game than they are now. I think Slippy Rollback really shot up the level of play, and now that people are pretty cracked, she just hasn't aged very well. For a long time, people were using the argument that she's better in tournaments and whatnot, but I think that's an area where people are leveling up as well. I think like in terms of mental game, people are starting to improve. In terms of technique, people are starting to improve. She is like 4-6 into Fox and Marth if they know the matchup. Characters like Sheik are doing fine against her now. Captain Falcon, that's probably 5-5. So I don't think she beats anybody in the top 5. I think she's like pretty bad into 2 of the top 5. And I think she doesn't age well at all. On top of that, she gets almost nothing out of 1.03. And so that's why I boldly give Puff the number 9 spot on this mod. I think if we were playing non 1.03 and these 3 characters that she's next to weren't so improved, then she could be number 6. Because these 3 get a lot for the reasons that I went over. But, yeah. On 1.03, Puff gets like pretty much nothing. So I'm going to put her here confidently. I've been meaning to lower Puff anyway, so I think 1.03 seals the deal. I think like everybody else gets better. So that's my 1.03 tier list. I think overall, as I said at the beginning of the video, there would be nothing wrong with legalizing the whole thing. The tilts, the perfect Wavedash, the Z-Jump. I mean, Z-Jump, pretty much everyone agrees should be legal regardless, but the other mods, I think it'd be really cool to see people compete with them. If you're gonna, like I said, if you're gonna patch Melee, that's how you would do it. So that's my theoretical 1.03 tier list. I think it actually makes the tier list easier to make than normal, because I think it's really straightforward who benefits from 1.03, and it makes it easier to do things like identify Falco as number 2 and put Sheik above Captain Falcon, put Luigi on the tier list, because normally I wouldn't, and then lower Puff. That's my summary of what 1.03 does to the Melee meta. So make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. I think this is a really cool subject. I'm looking forward to the possibility of these mods being used down the line. I think the community should be open to experimentation, and I think it would only make for a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks for checking out the video, and make sure to check out 1.03 at box.com if you haven't already. All right, have a good one.